is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison pregame show.
Hello and welcome into the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. I am Alex Egan. He is DJ Coulter. We are excited to bring you another Saturday of NDSU football. It's the dome opener, and I know, DJ, you've been around for a few of these dome openers. The excitement level has to be sky high on the campus of NDSU.
Oh, yeah. I was just out tailgating earlier looking at meeting people, and they're so excited. Everyone's jacked up. They're ready for Thunderstruck and AC/DC to get the season off to a good start and get that banner showing for the 4th title.
Yeah, we will get you out to the dome for the banner unveiling for the 2014 National Championship. That'll be later on in the show. We've got a lot of stuff to come for you here in the show, but we have to talk about week one. We'd be remiss if we didn't. I know a lot of Bison fans probably don't want to talk about week one, but the Bison go into Missoula, Montana, and they come away with an L in the column. 35-38, the final score there. A last-second touchdown for Montana. It was a great game. A great college football game. What a way to kick off the college football season. But, DJ, to you, what stood out? And I know you're a Montana guy. We won't hold that against you for this week. We like you. We like having you here. But what stood out to you in that game?
I think the second half was really surprising, especially NDSU's offense. NDSU's offense only had 60 yards rushing the ball, which usually in the second half in the last 6-7 years has been that Rams and that Bison offense. They take over a game and they start rushing the ball down defenses, and the time of possession's in their favor. NDSU just struggled, even the passing game. They only had a screen for 44 yards for the, that set up that last second half touchdown, but that was it.
Yeah, it was like we said, it was a great college football game. Unfortunately, NDSU comes out on the wrong side of it, but give credit where credit is due. Montana, under a new head coach and a new environment on the national level, they played their tails off and were able to come away with a win. They made some great plays in the second half and really shut down the Bison offense. It was, obviously, there was a little bit of a deal with Carson being injured. He had a bit of an ankle injury that they got, and we'll talk about him here in just a few minutes and his status for today's game. But yeah, it's okay. You don't lose the national championship in the first week. Montana goes and loses the next week. They get their comeuppance, if you will. They lose on a last-second field goal against, was it Cal Poly, I believe?
Yep. Cal Poly's a good team.
Yeah.
Watch for them. The Grizz, the key advantage the Grizz had was that receiver. And NDSU struggled. Remember, NDSU's young in the backfield. They had some young freshmen, safeties, corner. So I'm looking forward to seeing them bounce back.
And they'll get some experience back. C.J. Smith back for this game.
Huge.
And we'll talk about this game. We'll tell you, Carson Wentz starting for the Bison. It's been kind of the hot topic over the bye week. And this week he had the ankle sprain against Montana. We saw him out at practice on Tuesday. I saw him. He looked as good as he could have looked. It looked like he didn't even have an injury. He's cutting. He's running. Carson Wentz will get the start, and we'll hear from head coach Chris Kleiman coming up a little bit later on in the show about Carson and the quarterback status. But to see number 11 back out there has to give a big vote of confidence for this team.
That's huge for NDSU. I mean, starting a freshman to open up the season at home. I think Carson running the ball is going to be a key to this game. Remember, against the Grizz, when the Bison were taking over that second quarter, Carson's running, to me, was the difference. He's special at running the ball for how tall and athletic, and that's why he's on all these NFL radars. And to see him that second half struggle, you can tell that was a hiccup in their offense. Today, when you come back from an ankle injury, can you cut east to west? It's easy to go north to south. Can you cut east to west?
Cutting east to west will be the thing. Obviously, he is a big part of their offense, throwing the ball, running the football. We'll hear more about what Coach Kleiman has to say on him here in the next segment. But we have a great game for you today. Weber State coming to town. Last year against Weber State, the defense really won this game for them. It was a 24-7 final.
It was close. I mean, if people remember, in that second half, Carlton Littlejohn made some huge plays. They were going in to tie it up there, I think, of the second half, or to get it within one touchdown the second half. And the defense, Littlejohn stopped them on a huge 4th down on a fake field goal. Littlejohn returned, I think it was a fumble for a touchdown in that 4th quarter. Weber State's solid on defense, and we'll see that today, that they have some athletes. That safety they have is a flat-out stud.
And they put up 24 points. It was their 3rd lowest point total in any of their 15 wins last year. So a tough defense for NDSU to go up against today. We'll hear from head coach Chris Kleiman next. We still have a ton of show to come here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Do not go away. We'll hear from head coach Chris Kleiman next. And before we get you out to break, let's go out to the Blarney Stone Pub in Fargo. They're getting ready for NDSU football. NDSU teammakers providing us with this shot out there. Good to see y'all. We're back after this. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Let's get you out to the Dome and hear from the man himself, Bison head coach Chris Kleiman, standing by with sports director Beth Houle. Beth?
Hey guys, joined by Coach Kleiman here. Coach, word came out yesterday. Carson Wentz is making the start. Just talk about what that means for the confidence level of this team taking the field today.
Well, he's our guy. You know, he's our leader, and so no, we're excited about him playing. He had a good practice on Wednesday. We kind of shelved him on Thursday, but Easton would be ready to go if Carson couldn't do it. But no, I think the guys are excited that Carson's playing. And
how about Easton Stick? Just the athleticism he offers, the mobility that you're probably going to end up needing against Weber State. How nice is it to have such a strong backup?
Oh, yeah, Easton's ready to go, and there's a good possibility he'll play anyway. So I'm excited about Easton's opportunity.
You guys taking the field today, coming off that loss. It's an unfamiliar territory for you guys. How ready is this group? Heard you took over 800 team snaps here in the last 2 weeks.
Well, we'll find out. I know our guys are excited to play, and you know, we just got to tee it up and play, and we've got to stay focused for 60 minutes, and that's something that we didn't feel we did a couple weeks ago, and we've got to have that great focus, and we got to start fast, and we got to finish stronger.
All right, well, thanks, Coach. We'll see you at halftime. That's it for now, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Beth. Takeaways from what Coach Kleiman had to say. We're going to see Easton Stick. Carson's obviously going to start, but Easton Stick hasn't appeared in a game for the Bison. In fact, he hasn't appeared in a football game since his senior year of high school.
Yeah, I think it's really smart that NDSU gets him some reps. Whether it's the second quarter, second half, he needs to get some game reps, and that's going to help them for just his development for not just this year when he needs to be called in action, but for the years ahead.
And Bison, obviously, with the open week, they're in a bit of a unique position. They were able to rest some guys up, get some more snaps in a practice format. I know you, as a former player, practice is one thing, game is another.
Losing a game is not a good feeling. And then you have an off week. You want to get on the field, you want to get playing. From what I heard, that NDSU really got after it, some ones-on-ones that, usually a week off, they try to lay off. But this team's young, especially in the back end defensively. They need to get as many reps. They need to get the guys in position so when they get into these big games, they're ready to go.
Yeah, Weber State has a wide receiver that we'll talk about here a little bit later on, Cam Livingston. He's an all-Big Sky returning wide receiver, but we saw the Bison give up, 434 passing yards to Montana. Will the Bison back end be able to contain what is, probably one of the better receivers in the Big Sky? We saw two really good receivers from Montana 2 weeks ago. We're going to see another good wide receiver out of Weber State this week.
Yeah. One thing that you got to remember is that the talent-wise at receiver at Montana was pretty good. That's one of the best you're going to see. Maybe Coastal Carolina, Eastern Washington, some of those talented athletes. But Weber doesn't have the receivers the Grizz do. NDSU getting C.J. Smith back. More, 2 weeks more practice for freshmen and sophomores is a big deal at this level, especially after a loss. They're going to pay attention to everything, both in the film room and on practice a little more in detail. You want to keep your spot at this level and play, you better be ready.
Yeah, we heard Coach Kleiman on Monday at his press conference say, this isn't going to be an open week, a bye week per se. You're going to work. These players are going to work. They brought in a lot more trying to develop the depth, especially on the offensive line. A couple guys are out today. We'll hear about them in the Sanford injury report later on in the show. But trying to get some more guys in, and that's evident with getting Easton involved, getting some of those guys on the line involved, and that's really what they focused on this week in practice.
I think NDSU is going to come out running the ball. They're going to get back to what's been their bread and butter 6-7 years now, that this run they've had. NDSU is a running team. They're based around that running back, both getting him the ball, handing it off, some screens out of the backfield. I think NDSU they got to get that identity back. Yes, they have a special quarterback in Wentz. I think that's a tough situation as an offensive coordinator. You want to show the skills of a special quarterback, maybe the best that's been here, that has a shot at the NFL level. But that offensive line is built to run the ball. We saw them struggle a little bit in passing situations against the Grizz D-line last week. But it's based on running the ball first, setting up the play action, getting that West Coast offense rolling. And I'd like to see NDSU really get those tight ends. You know, in the past, the tight ends didn't do much in that Grizz game. And also deep down the field, you look at the second half in the Grizz game, receivers didn't, there was a couple catches for 10 yards, a few for 3 yards. That was it. It'd be nice to take a shot down the field with those wide receivers.
Yeah, we'll see if they can develop that downfield passing game. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 10:30 on KX4, you can hear from Coach Kleiman. He'll be here to break down today's game. If you miss it, you can catch the rebroadcast tonight after Valley News Live, 10 at 10 on KVLY. Still to come, we're going to take a look at the key players in today's game in our Bobcat Heavy Lifting Report, plus a look at the Sanford Health Injury Report. We still have a ton of time here. Make sure you come back. We got some team makers out there. Make sure you come back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. How's it going, Blarney Stone Pub? We see you.
Horns up.
Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. He is DJ Coulter. I am Alex Egan. We are excited for North Dakota State Dome opener against Weber State. Speaking of Weber State, Beth was out at the Dome, and she catches up with their their color commentary guy for their radio, Paul Grua. Beth, what can you tell us?
Hey guys, welcome out to the Fargo Dome. I'm joined by Weber State SID and color commentator for the radio, Paul Grua. We're talking about Weber State, preparing for them. What can you kind of tell us about this second year under head coach Jay Hill with this team?
You know, we've been through a whole lot in the last few years. In 5 years, we've had 4 different head coaches with all the changes going on. So Jay Hill's in his second year. You know, had a lot of improvement last year off the team from the previous year. So making some progress. Still didn't quite get the wins that they expected, but they definitely made some progress in the right direction, and we're very competitive in a lot of games.
You guys, I mean, so many close games, but to fall just a little short, that can take a toll on a team. Play Oregon State last week, tough game, close game yet again. How's the team feeling coming off of that Oregon State? You
know, that was obviously a different challenge, but they played well. It was 6-0 at halftime. It was 13-7 going into the fourth quarter. Made a couple of mistakes, dropped some balls and so forth. And the defense played very well. That was one positive sign that came from that game. Offense had some struggles, and so that's going to be a key going into today's game. But there was definitely some progress, some positive things to take from it. But, you know, under Jay Hill, they want to be positive. He says there's no moral victories. They want to go out there and try to win some games.
You guys have a lot of really good size. Coach Polasek, the offensive coordinator for NDSU, calling this team stout that they're about to take on today in Weber State. What can you say kind of about the mentality, those defining characteristics that are this Weber State football team?
You know, again, very physical as well, physical team. They'll be matched up very well, I think, on the front. Again, the defense played very well last week, and that's one of our strong points. Linebackers and the secondary, kind of the key groups that Jay thinks are the top groups on the defensive end. It's just going to be a question of moving the ball. If the offense can get going a little bit and try to put some points on the board.
How's Livingston doing? I know he didn't practice until late in the week, had maybe a concussion, I believe everyone said. How's he doing?
He's doing well. Sat out for a couple days, but he's full go. He should play and should start today as well at the receiver spot.
Well, thanks so much. Good luck in the booth yourself. That's it for now, guys, from the Fargo Dome. We'll be back more with a whole lot coming up.
All right. Thank you very much, Beth. Takeaways from Paul Grua there. Cam Livingston had a concussion, sat out most of the week, but he's back now. He's going to play. I think the big thing is the Weber State defense really kept him in that game against Oregon State. The score got a little out of hand there, but 6-0 at half, 13-7 going into the fourth quarter. You expect to win those games.
Yeah, and remember Weber State's defense scored the touchdown.
See.
It really comes down to, can Weber State do anything offensively against this Bison defense? They have a good receiver. Are they going to be able to do it? They couldn't do anything against Oregon State. Are they an FBS, Pac-12 team? Yep. I'd compare them similar to the Bison defense on talent and athletically and scheme-wise. So the key to this game is Weber going to get anything going offensively. That's the test.
Yeah, just 178 yards against what is a Pac-12 defense. Let's be fair there, 178 yards, but only 58 yards on the ground for Weber State against Oregon State. And the big stat, 0 for 13 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down. They could not convert a third down to a first down.
Yeah, if they don't convert for third downs here, this is going to get ugly fast.
Yeah,
real fast.
We have a feeling that this one could be over. But yeah, quarterback Jadrian Clark will be starting for Weber State. 19 for 35 with 120 yards through the air. He did have a pick, but I mean, the offense really did nothing. So I guess if you're expecting to see improvement on NDSU's defense, Weber State's got to be saying the same thing about their offense.
Yeah, Weber State offensively has just, you know, they talked about all the different head coaches. Imagine being an offense and having a bunch of different offensive coordinators. They've gone from running the ball, passing the ball. They're trying to get some stability. They got a head coach, a second year, same offensive coordinator, trying to get it so they can run and pass, throw some balance. It's going to be tough in the Dome.
That's the big thing. It's going to be tough in the Dome opener. The banner raising, we'll get you out to the Dome here before kickoff, and we'll make sure that you are a part of the banner raising. But before we go, we're going to take a break. We come back, we're going to talk about the Bobcat Heavy Lifting Report. Before we go, get you back out to the Blarney Stone Pub in Fargo. They're getting ready for some Bison football. We're getting ready for Bison football. The Bison, Weber State, right here on KBOY and NBC North Dakota Networks at 2:30. We're going to take you right up to kickoff here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football. Hello and welcome back into the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. We appreciate you joining us wherever you are across the state of North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, into Montana. We are statewide into 4 states really for our broadcast. 2:30 is the kickoff for Bison against Weber State. And before we get to kickoff, we're going to tell you about who will be doing the heavy lifting in our Bobcat Heavy Lifting Report for both sides. Let's start with the Bison. On the Bison side, it's going to be number 6, CJ Smith, the senior cornerback, coming back off of meniscus surgery that he had in the offseason. He is a big part of that Bison defense and a big stabilizing part for the Bison defense as they try to lock down Cam Livingston.
Just the confidence he's going to give to everyone on the field, both the young guys and the coaching staff, so they can maybe run some defense that maybe they couldn't run against the Grizz.
Again, the Bison giving up 434 yards passing against Montana. We're not expecting to see kind of the offense that Montana runs out of Weber State, but it will be nice to get that number back down to something that's manageable. I say CJ Smith is going to play a big part in limiting the yards through the air for Weber State.
Yeah, I think the goal for the Bison is trying to hold Weber State under 200 yards of passing, and then they have a good shot here. We got one special player at receiver. Everything else, the Bison will match up great this weekend.
And that's good. And we'll take a look at the Weber State side, who will be doing the heavy lifting for them. And it's a guy that Coach Kleiman mentioned in his Monday press conference. It's a guy that is on a lot of people's radar, but he's maybe not getting a lot of talk yet. It's their safety, Josh Burton. For Weber State, he had 10 tackles in the game against Oregon State. He also had the pick 6 for the only touchdown for Weber State. He is a guy that is going to cause some problems for the NDSU offense.
Yeah, last year in the game against Crockett, when they went up against each other 5 times, you know, he tackled. Crockett couldn't get around him, and John Crockett's on an NFL practice squad right now. He's a pretty special talent. So fans, all us Bison fans, just enjoy this guy watching him play. Hopefully we can get around him and get some touchdowns.
Yeah, we'll try to see. You mentioned earlier that the Bison will need to get kind of a downfield passing game with that guy flying around down back there being a ball hawk. That's going to be not an easy task for Carson Wentz and his receiving corps.
Yeah, you also might get him, though, to bite. Get him up and get that running game going, get the play action going over the top with the tight end. Maybe take a shot with Farah and some of the young receivers down the field, too.
Again, if you're just joining us, Carson Wentz will be starting today for the Bison, though. Head coach Chris Kleiman saying earlier in the show, we probably will see Easton Stick, who hasn't played in a couple games. So Josh Burton, I mean, he might be licking his chops. If we see Easton Stick come in, he might be saying he can get make some plays out there for him.
Yeah, the key thing to remember when you bring in Easton Stick, he doesn't need to do it all.
Right.
Don't put him in a position that it's all on his shoulders. Hand the ball off. Get him some quick receptions, quick outs to receivers, get him down the middle to the tight end, and then just let the offense take over and the running backs take over the game.
And to go back to CJ Smith, who was our heavy lifting player for NDSU, he wasn't playing against Montana. Jordan Champion had a rough game. We've heard from Champ throughout the week, throughout the bye week. Having CJ back there elevates his game as well because he knows he has his boy on the other side from him. So Jordan Champion will look to have, you know, kind of his bounce back game after getting, you know, kind of, I don't want to say exposed, but picked on a little bit against Montana.
Yeah, CJ Smith getting those safeties to start playing better. They had 2 or 3 or 4 safeties play a lot of reps in that game. Remember the Grizz offense? It's fast-paced. Every 15 seconds they're getting a play out.
Right.
You can't sub in backups as well at safety, corner, linebacker, when they start running 90-some plays, that wears on you in that fourth quarter, and that's when NDSU really got exposed in that fourth quarter.
And we won't see kind of that up-tempo offense out of Weber State. I mean, we'll probably see some no huddle and whatnot, but the up-tempo that, you know, Bob Stitt likes to run at Montana is not the same for Jay Hill at Weber State in his second year. Let's get you out to the Dome. It's the Dome opener. Obviously, you said you were out there a little bit earlier. People are having fun tailgating. The atmosphere is electric out there. Beth caught up with some tailgaters. Let's go out to Beth, hanging out with some tailgaters right now. Beth, what do you got for us?
Hey guys, having a lot of fun out here, running into all kinds of people, and wouldn't you know, a former Bison football player himself, Trevor Gebhardt. How are you doing? How does it feel to be tailgating a little bit?
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit change of a pace, but I'm enjoying this side of it a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's good to see the whole community come together and support the team. It's awesome.
Home opener tonight, raising that banner. You got to see this happen a couple times with the pads on and the helmet. Yeah. What are you expecting, just witnessing all of this?
I'm sure it'll be emotional. I've been told your first home game back is always the toughest, but I'm excited to see it all, the banner raising, see the guys I still know and love come run out of the tunnel again and hopefully get a W.
Well, how welcoming has everybody been out here at tailgating? One of the things everybody talks about is how much fun everybody has out here. It's one big happy family. Are you feeling the love out here? So you got a plate full of food too.
Yeah, first thing I get here, they're like, hey, Trevor, go get some food. So, yeah, definitely experiencing that love, and it's a great thing. It's good to see this side of it, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
What are your predictions today? Weber State, you remember what it was like to play them? This team coming off a loss. You guys don't like to lose, that's for sure. Like so what are you expecting from this game?
I'm expecting the guys to play hard and come out with a win.
That's perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This was another Northland Ford tailgating report. We'll see you guys after the break.
Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. Now, a big question mark for Bison fans coming into this year was whether or not the Bison run game could be as substantial after losing John Crockett to graduation. Now, in the first week, King Frazier stepped up as the rushing leader, and in this week's Bison Pride story, Beth Houle gives us the inside look on the junior transfer from Nebraska.
King Frazier led all Bison in Montana with 91 yards and 15 carries. The hard-nosed, gritty performance led NDSU to nearly 230 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns on the ground. While it wasn't enough for the win, it was enough to catch head coach Chris Kleiman's eye.
I thought King Frazier played a dynamite football game. I was really pleased with King.
Authoritative is how Coach Kleiman describes Frazier's style. It's a characteristic he recognized in Frazier as a high school kid in Missouri. Frazier was recruited to NDSU out of high school by Coach Kleiman personally, and the relationship picked up naturally when he looked to transfer from Nebraska.
Coach Kleiman turned out to be better than I thought, actually. You know what I'm saying? He's a really, really good players club coach. He knows how to communicate with all the players on the team extremely well, and he gives us what we want. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, we give him what he's want.
From Frazier, Kleiman expects consistency and hard work, things Frazier says he picked up in his first year with the Bison. He says he's been challenged like never before since moving to North Dakota State, and he knows he's a better football player and teammate for it.
This year I stepped into a much bigger role, you know what I'm saying, leading the team in different things that we do and just trying to become a better overall player. So I definitely think my role has changed and I've changed.
With that change comes greater responsibility. As for now, Kleiman says the downhill power game will put the ball back in Frazier's hands. It's an honor that continues to be earned.
Well, thank you very much, Beth. And takeaways from King Frazier. Obviously, he was the most dominant back for North Dakota State against Montana. But you said, and you've talked with Coach Polasek, they want to distinguish, a couple backs in this backfield for North Dakota State.
Yeah, I think unique is Chase. They can use him in a lot of ways. They can use Morlock out of the backfield. They can use him in the slot. They get him in motion. He had that touchdown out of the backfield, that wheel route. It was a nice play for the Bison. I think the Bison are in a unique stage the next 2 games. They need to get this figured out. Who are going to be their key guys at running back? They've always had a 1-2 punch here. They've had very talented running backs here for the last, many years. That's been a tradition of the Bison, but especially in the last 8-10 years. These two need to separate themselves, step up, be the 2 guys. They got great young freshmen that have home run hitters in Dunn and Anderson. So, I'm hearing that they might give those 2 a shot here in the next 2 games to see what they can do as well.
Depth was something that the Bison worked on in the open week, and we'll probably see a lot of depth come to fruition today against Weber State. So King Frazier, onus is on him to make some plays for the Bison. Let's get you back out to the Blarney Stone Pub in Fargo. NDSU team makers giving us this live look at some NDSU Bison fans. Horns up, horns up, horns up. When we come back, we'll go through who's playing and who's not playing in the Sanford injury report right after this.
Yeah.
Welcome to Subway. What can I make for you? You'll love our new rotisserie-style chicken. 100% white meat, herb-seasoned pulled chicken, slow roasted till it's irresistibly tender, and fresh toasted with melty cheese. We top it off with sweet honey mustard and all the crisp veggies you like on your favorite freshly baked bread. It's a whole new taste from Subway like never before. Our new Subway rotisserie-style chicken won't be here for long, so try one today. Subway, eat fresh.
You know when it's time for a new truck, and you know the value of checking out the competition. But you also know the hassle and time it takes. But at Nelson Auto Center, you can compare the big three of trucks all in one location. Ford, GMC, and Ram, all under one roof. All ready for test drives? All ready for you to save time and money. Nelson Auto makes trucking easy. Because at Nelson Auto, we're driven by you.
With Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy's MedSync program, we'll help you save time and money by coordinating all your prescriptions into one easy monthly pickup.
I get my meds the first Tuesday of every month, right after book club.
I pick up my medications before cards with the guys. Hey, what's up, man?
Central Avenue Health Mart Pharmacy, your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy, caring for you and about you.
Right now, get any large original or flatbread Supreme Pizza for only $13.99. Casey's, famous for pizza.
Watch the Bison Football Show with Coach Chris Kleiman, Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. on KX4 and streaming live on ValleyNewsLive.com. Plus, an encore presentation following Valley News Live 10 at 10 on KVLY Sunday nights. Game review, big plays, and a look ahead. Coach recaps the action, who's hot on the field, and what changes will he make. Watch the Bison Football Show, Sunday mornings on KX4, streaming live online, and again Sunday nights after your late local news on KVLY.
Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Weber State coming into the Dome opener. We'll get you out to the Dome for the banner raising and all the fun stuff that goes along with winning a national championship last season for the Bison, their fourth in a row. Let's get you out to the Dome right now, though. Beth standing by with our Sanford Health Injury Report. Hey, Beth.
Hey guys, welcome back out to the Fargo Dome for our Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine Injury Report. I'm joined by Dr. Bruce Pyatt. Thanks again for joining us for this home opener game, an exciting one that we're preparing for. Want to talk to you today about how important it is to listen to your body and the warning signs. Something as simple as maybe a fracture can certainly progress into bigger things. How important is it to listen to your body and be aware in those situations?
Obviously, our body always gives us hints as to what's going on, but a lot of the things which you're referring to are more kind of the stress fracture type things. You know, the acute fractures that occur from a direct blow, there's no warning signs for that typically. Maybe you see the guy coming at you, but that's about it. For the most part, though, these stress reactions, most of the athletes will tell us that they've had symptoms for a while. It's not debilitating pain, but it's kind of there, and it starts as just a little bit of a nuisance, gradually building, and then once the bone actually breaks, then it becomes debilitating at that point.
How simple is it for something like that to escalate quickly, though, into a broken bone?
Well, I think the key is that if you keep your training under control, make gradual increases in what you're doing, it's very unlikely to occur. But what does occur a lot of the times is we try to go from very little training to kind of marathon level training right away. And if you do that, most of our bodies are going to break down. They're not prepared for that. So the key is to make slow increases to get there with it. I lost my train of thought. All I could see was that coming out of the corner of my eye.
All right, it looks like
that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun out there. It looks like Dr. Pyatt having to
watch out.
Avoid some footballs going on in pregame warm-ups there. Stress fractures obviously are not very fun to deal with. You played. Did you have any stress fractures that you had to deal with during your playing career?
Had a few broken, hands, wrists. You got to tape stuff up, fingers. That's just part of it. When you learn how to play with casts, and you just try to be as smart as you can through the week with practice and trying to be mentally. When you get at this college level, it's a lot about just taking mental reps and trying to keep your body in the best health as it can year-round.
Yeah, the stress fracture that we know that a couple guys have, some broken feet, just a broken foot actually for each guy on our Sanford Health injury report here. Jack Plankers, we've known about him. He's an offensive tackle. Yeah. He broke his foot back in fall camp. He's been out for the past couple of weeks. Should be returning soon. He's in a walking boot. The big one here, Zach Johnson out with a broken foot. He had a stress fracture that throughout the course of practice this past week, Coach Kleiman said it turned into a full-on break. So that's where we stand with Zach Johnson, which means Zach Zemer will step in and get the start for the Bison today on the offensive line, starting at left guard there. But we're also going to see guys like Christian Triplett, a redshirt freshman, Luke Bacon, a redshirt freshman. Zemer himself is a sophomore. So we're going to see some new faces on that O-line. Fortunately, they got Carson Wentz back there playing for him. He is not on the injury report, which is good news for Bison fans. With the ankle sprain that he had against Montana, he will play today. So getting those new guys in there. You played on the D-line. I know you guys work together well on the offensive line, and it's all about knowing who is where.
Yeah.
Putting in a new piece, how difficult is that to overcome?
Well, I think Bison fans need to be realistic. Let some of these young guys get in. These guys are freshmen, sophomores. Let them get some reps. It might take a series or two to get them rolling, but I predict by end of the second quarter, middle of the third, the Bison O-line, these young guys will get going, they'll do just fine.
And they got a lot of reps throughout the bye week, the open week, if you will. Not really a bye week because Coach Kleiman really worked these guys in that open week. So we know that they were working on their depth throughout that open week. We know that those guys got the practice reps. It'll translate into most likely game reps today. And the Bison O-line will be a little bit reworked, but should still be, 4/5 of the way is okay.
They're talented. Don't forget, the Bison have had awesome recruiting classes in the recent years. These kids are talented. They'll do just fine when given the opportunity.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't mind when you've got guys like Haig and Coonard up there that are doing some of the work for you.
I think the key thing for the Bison is trying to get Johnson back before the heart of that conference schedule. If you're going to have an injury, this is the time of year. Have it at the beginning of the season. Get some of these freshmen, sophomore, get them reps in non-conference games. This is one of their probably, I'd say, easier, weaker opponent in Weber, long term. So you look at the season, so we'll see what we can do.
All right, we got 9 minutes and 54 seconds till we get you out to the Dome for the banner raising. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do, let's get one final look out at the Blarney Stone Pub out there in Fargo. Hey guys, how you doing? Let's see some horns. Can we see some horns out of you? That's a peace sign. That works too. Don't go away. We have much more to come here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. We are getting closer and closer to getting you out to the Dome for the banner raising. 7 minutes, 20 seconds away from heading out to the Dome. Let's go outside the Dome to Beth, catching up with some more tailgaters. Beth, you look like you're having some fun out there.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're here for your Northland Ford tailgating report. I'm here with Mark and John, two of, I have to say, the best cooks out here in the tailgate lot. Now, Mark, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're doing here?
We are sauteing some pre-roasted marinated potatoes with a little fresh jalapenos and onions, a little fresh garlic. We're going to saute them up with some bacon and fresh sausage. And we're going to put them in the chafing dish, on top of it with some sour cream, fresh scallions, a little cheddar cheese. We steam it a little bit with some fresh sausage. And that's one of the entrees we got today.
Well, now this is something that takes a lot of prep work. I saw these are already being sauteed in, what was that, butter and garlic? And
yeah, horseradish and a little white wine.
Now, that's a lot of forethought. Is this the same menu every week, or do you guys like to mix it up a little bit?
We mix it up a little bit. We always have tenderloin tails. John cooks his famous wings, and I usually throw a little twist in there.
Well, it certainly is pleasing the crowd out here. John over here, like you heard, the famous wings. I got to try one of these. If you see these guys out here, come beg them for a wing. I'm just kidding. You guys share very nicely. Talk a little bit about your wings, the recipe, and how long you've been doing this.
This recipe, these wings have been our start to tailgating since the mid-'80s, and it's just marinated in a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, and a bunch of other stuff, and so what we start every tailgate party with.
Well, a lot of tradition out here between these guys and their friends, as well as Bison football. Now, I'm going to go enjoy some food and some friends out here. See you guys later.
All right, thanks, Beth. Don't forget you have to work the sidelines for the game coming up here in just a few minutes, so try not to fill up on too much wings.
It's killing me, Alex. If I'm not here for the halftime show, you know where I'm at. That looked fantastic.
Taking off to the tailgate lot. They'll be inside, hopefully, watching some football. This is a live look at the Fargo Dome right now. Looks like the band getting ready for the game. We got 5 minutes until we get you out there for the banner raising ceremony. Band doing a good job there, putting the star on the field. The dome opener against Weber State, and I know, DJ, we do need to talk a little bit more football here. The specialists, that's going to be maybe a key area for this game.
Yeah, I think, well, we got an All-American in LeCompte as a punter. We had him kicking last week. I really want to look at this new freshman that they're going to, they claim they're going to let him do some kicks, whether it's place kicking, kickoff. That'll be exciting to see a true freshman come in. Remember what Perkins did against the Grizz? And he was really close to breaking a few. I'm looking forward to seeing, they might have Anderson and Perkins back there returning some punts and kickoffs, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys can do.
Yeah, freshman Cam Peterson would be the one to come in and be the place kicker. The Eric Perkins, 5 kick returns for 155 yards against Montana. Now, I do want to tell you this, though, as we see the team getting out onto the field there. I do want to tell you this. Weber State, 2 kickoffs in their game against Oregon State, 2 touchbacks. So their kicker can obviously kick the ball, and that might negate what Eric Perkins can do in the return game. But he did have a monster game. Gave the Bison pretty good field position. Average starting position was the 37-yard line for the Bison on their drives.
The Bison, in their run here in the last 6-7 years of being a special football program at the FCS level, they've been really good at doing special teams. I look forward today to really having them dominate this part of the game, whether it's kickoff, punts, coverage teams. I think the Bison could force a turnover, maybe a score. That'd be great, huh?
Yeah, to see a special teams score, a defensive score, that would be something to see. We saw a defensive score in this game last year. Carlton Littlejohn, obviously gone to graduation, but he had a fumble recovery, 5-yard fumble recovery to really ice the game away for him. Carson Wentz in last year's game, 13 of 22 passing, 192 yards, 2 interceptions. Not his greatest game. I think he's going to try to maybe have, one of those games where we might see him prove the doubters wrong. We might see Carson Wentz try to air the ball out and maybe get something down the field and maybe, try to establish that deep passing game that you were talking about. But you also said one of the big keys in this game, get the tight ends involved in the offense.
You got to remember, the Bison put up a lot of points against the Grizz. It wasn't all just their offense. It's just being that consistent, that second half team. When they can get those, long sustained drives, the second half gets easier for them. They can start running the ball in every which way, whether it's outside or up the middle, pounding it. When they need a yard, what I want to see today, and I'm sure all the Bison fans out there, when the Bison need 5 or less yards, it's that power running game taking over, play action off it, getting the tight ends, getting the running backs, and taking a shot deep will be fun to watch on the offensive end. On defense, DeLuca was special middle linebacker against the Grizz. That pick he had, he was probably maybe the best defensive player on the field. And I think in a lot of games this year, he's going to be. The Bison D tackles and that middle linebacker are special. Let's see the D ends, outside backers, some of those safeties step up today and make some great plays for the Bison.
2 minutes till we get you out to the Dome. Let's go ahead and take another live look out there, and you can see the band on the field getting ready for the tunnel walk. You've been to a home game. I unfortunately have not yet been to a home game. The atmosphere of a Dome opener, what's it like?
Well, just they start turning those lights off. Those people have the app on on their phone. It's up. It's blinking. I mean, it's one of the best things. When I take, when I take my daughter there, family or friends there, this is what football is all about. This is what college, this is what these kids have worked so hard. People don't understand the time that these student athletes have put in, not just practice in the weight room, for the last 6 to 9 months, and then just the excitement. It's hard to explain until you're in a situation like that.
Yeah, home openers are always fun to play in front of your home crowd, and especially coming off a week like you did against Montana, where you played well enough to win. You just don't come away on the positive side. 1 minute till we get you out there for the banner raising. Like you said, there's the lights going on the phones. You got the flashing lights. DJ.
I'm getting fired up again. Where's Berg at? I'm ready to tackle him like last week.
Chris Berg, Brian Sean will be on the call for this one.
They'll do awesome.
It's going to be a fun game. Weber State, North Dakota State and Weber State matching up for the 6th time all-time. NDSU leads it 5-0, including the 24-7 win last year. NDSU has won 16 straight home openers, and in fact, they only have 1 loss at the Fargo Dome in home openers and dome openers, if you will. 23-game home winning streak on the line. 30 seconds till we get you out there. Do not go anywhere. We're not going away from our programming. So if you need to freshen up the beverage, maybe grab some of those wings from the tailgate lot. You got 20 seconds, so we'll get you out there to the banner raising ceremony. You can see the crowd getting amped up and ready to go as they file in. 10 seconds until we ship it out to those guys. We really appreciate you watching the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Let's send you out to the Dome. Bison, Weber State, now.